In other words, the leaderboards and all that, things that are the numbers that we're showing. But if you're not getting that business issued, you're not getting paid. So it's kind of the little catchphrase that we say: submit is for show, issue paid is for go, or dough, as the case may be. So Bret put a system together for us to track, and this is something that he did for himself, but he has so generously offered to share this with us, so you guys can utilize this system as well, and plug this into your agencies and really track your business. And again, one of the big challenges in this business is keeping up with everything. So Bret, appreciate you being on this morning. We're going to turn the floor over to you and kind of let you share some of the tools that you've been working on.
All right, sounds good. Can you hear me?
I do, yeah, do hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. I'm going to share my screen here. See what comes through. Give me 1 second. All right. So I might be having a little technical difficulty. What can you guys see on your end? Do you see a split screen with a couple things going on?
Split screen. We've got a spreadsheet on one side, then we've got the promotion guidelines on the other.
Well, wonderful. Thanks, guys. My name is Bret Aplin. I'm director John Paul Vetter, Chris Menifee, Scott Mink, and then Jacob Pope. And the purpose of the time together today is just to show you a couple tools that I started to use to manage my time against goals, and that including tracking my pay. So what we're going to do, the process is I'll just walk you through kind of how I use these tools side by side to help me understand where I am and when I should spend my time differently towards the end of the month. And hopefully, the payoff for you guys would be to simplify how you look at your month, from an activity and revenue side, but also have a template that you can spend time with your upline, focusing on those things. I know in the beginning, when I first started, John Paul spent a lot of time with me, but it was very sporadic. It was, what I mean by that is that John Paul wouldn't know what I was struggling with at any given time. So I was constantly calling him and wearing him out. And that's a good thing. We like that, right? But I think over time, as I started to get things to gel, I started to notice a few things if I was a newer agent. One was I've cut down a small force and have all those leads all over my desk. And my mind is starting to look like the mess I created on my desk, which is kind of chaos. So that stresses me out. Then I started getting, contracted with a fair amount of carriers as the need came. And so that created a bunch of different portals you had to check. And so when the honest question came from my upline, so how are you doing this month? Or, have you checked your pending business with your carriers? The answer was maybe. The answer was, I'm not sure. And actually, John Paul's memory was better than mine, because I'd go out and sell a few things and be like, well, what about this other one over here? Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that thing. So when we'd have dialogue, it was always layered with maybe some stress on top of it from me about activity and about where is everything. And so I needed to put something together for myself recently that could say, hey, I want to have fun and make this kind of a fun game and not be so stressed out. So that's the reason why I want to show this to you. So today on the left, I don't know if that's too small for everybody. I can enlarge it. There's a spreadsheet to your left, and then there's the promotion guidelines to the right there. So what we've created here is, and I'm going to kind of enlarge this a little bit, is kind of a spreadsheet that'll allow you to, if I can expand this thing, that'll allow you to start setting goals, right? And so if I look to my right, I see that I'm really going for, and let's just use a real example as a start. If I'm running for 70% here on the contract level, I need to sell $10,000 and I need to install $6,500. So I can put a sheet together where I can say, okay, great, that's my game, right? And my net pay, I got to put in the $6,500. And what that's going to do is down here, it's going to calculate my totals and tell me how much of my goal I have left as I play along. Okay. So I've color coded some things up here for myself. And I got this idea from Lori when she was doing her spreadsheet, and I thought it made a lot of sense. And so as I'm moving along, I can take a look at, who are these? Are they pending? Are they future verbal? What's the date, the product? And we could even get into pay. And I'm going to show you some neat stuff about pay today, because as we talked a little bit about money management in weeks past, I want to know what I'm going to get paid. Heck, there might even be a way for me to figure out if I can get paid more if I pick a better product. So is there something to make that easy for me? So that's what I'm going to do and attempt to show you guys today. So today, here we got this blank spreadsheet I pulled up. If you don't mind looking down here, I've got some tabs for, May leading all the way through the rest of the year. And then I got a recruiting tab, which I'll show you later. But, I could start layering some things as I go along. But let's just assume that in May, these three folks were future verbals. I'd met in their home. They liked it, but we just couldn't meet in the month of May. So we're doing it in June, right? So I brought them over into this month. And the future verbal was tied to what we had talked about in annual policy volume, APV. Okay. We kind of know that this is kind of what they wanted from a product, but we're not really sure yet. I have a little time to figure out what I want to do there. But we do know from a promotion guideline, I am playing for, say, 70. So I've got my goals here, and we're going to get going. So I start selling, right? And what begins to happen is I could say, okay, I went over to Tom, and in fact, Tom was $2,400, and I can delete him out of this future verbal. If I look down here, now I'm showing a total of 2,400. I have 7,600 to goal, right? And I could start doing the same with Sally, where she ended up becoming more like 1,440, right? Not quite 1,567, so that's an actual. And then Jerry, right, with the IUL, knowing that the volume of the check that he cut was 36 grand. The 5% of that tied to the agency handbook is what we count for APV. So I get to enjoy 1,800, from Jerry. What this is doing is showing me quickly what my goal is left. Now, where this gets interesting is I start color coding along the way, as these deals are. They're pending. They're pending. And that's cool. But before I lose sight of what I'm doing here, I just want to know where everything is at. And I could start putting notes right here, right? We could say here, blood pressure questionnaire, right? I have something I need to get done. Sally over here, she needs to, I'm just going to make this up. No requirements needed. And from here, Jerry, pending, let's see here. So we're talking about, we're pending a check. Let's just say we're pending check. All right. So at least I have a note to know what's going on with these things, and I can keep moving on. So now I want to show you something a little bit different, if you don't mind. And that is, how do I calculate my pay? I know this is probably really small for everybody, so I think you'll get the gist from me trying to explain it in just a second. But this is a spreadsheet that was shared with me a little while ago, and this is broken down by carrier to show me all the different products that Symmetry Financial has to offer and what is my pay schedule tied to the product I pick. So as an example, I'm over here and, Tom Smith, as an example, for $2,400 says, hey, I want that home certainty. That's what I want right there, okay? And we know that Tom was a 15 to 20-year level when I wrote him, and I can go all the way over. I'm at 65, shooting for 70. I can see right there, I'm going to get paid 65%. So in my area right here on the spreadsheet, I can come down with a calculator, and I can say 2,400 times 65%. And I can know that's what I'm going to get paid. Why is that important to me? As I have a total down there as well. Why is that important to me? Because along the way, I'm going to show you what my actual may look like. Along the way, and I'll expand this a little bit, here's what starts to happen. Sorry, let me get this a little bit bigger for y'all. What starts to happen is I'm all over the board. I got somebody who got declined for contracting, but I was able to go out and rewrite, but that's pending. So I'm not sure who actually falls into the written bucket or the net pay bucket, but here's where this gets fun. I can look down and know this is what you wrote. You're actually in excess of what you needed. This is what you installed, right? But what about pending business that's left over that could go in the next month? That's right there. What about future verbals for sales and top line? That's right here, right? What about total amount of money that I have on the board that I'm fighting for? That's right there, right? But do I need to do some things? Yeah. Anything in red needs to get pushed over from pending to net pay. Anything in yellow is an opportunity for sales and for install. Anybody who turns brown, got declined, is an opportunity for a rewrite, right? Because the rules in our handbook is that it's, we write something and they unfortunately sometimes do get declined. We have an opportunity to go back out there. And in this case, with this Paul Brown gentleman, we were. And the APV was higher. That's kind of cool. How then can I use this pay sheet over to the right to help me in my business? Well, let me give you an example. So let's go to this Lisa right here, okay? I didn't write down the product because I was too busy, but I should have. It's kind of a new system for me too. It was an IUL. I'm sorry, it was an annuity. And so, I'm very used to, if we look over to this pay sheet to the right here, I'm very used to writing with Athene, right? And so this Athene Ascent Pro 10 right here, or Bonus 2.0 rather, I can look over, and if I'm at 65, I'm going to get paid 5.75%. That's what I'm going to get paid, right? Okay, that's cool. But if I'd have shopped it a little bit and said, hey now, do I have an opportunity to look somewhere else? I just got appointed with a company that everybody just swears by, and look at that. Choice 10, 7.7. What's the difference? The difference is huge in the pay. And in the case of this rewrite, I think it went from like, it brought another $500 commission just to consider writing with a different product that was right for the customer. So don't be afraid to take a look at, and I see this a lot too when we get down to whole life, solutions, and you're looking at what you get paid based on their age, might look different when you go over to someone else's and you want to take a look at what they're going to pay you there. So final expense over here, I get paid less if I go that direction. I might want to stick with American Amicable. And this is an online document. So I want to share that with you because over time, one of the things that I noticed for myself is that while Lori did a great job putting together a spreadsheet for everybody, it's really hard to stay up on top of that. I mean, if you can imagine, it's already hard enough for us to stay on top of it, So doing this for ourselves is pretty neat stuff. All right. So I'm going to stop with that for just a second and see if I can get this out of here without touching a bunch of controls. Let's go here. So then I get to talk to you guys a little bit about activity. You can play around with activity goals as well. Week 1, if it's in blue anywhere on this spreadsheet, you get to dictate the goal. And I might have put 250 as my goal, but my actual was 325. It'll calculate, you had an overage. Now, if I had put down something like I only did 100, it'll tell you goal left. You have 150 left to go. Okay. The same can be done with contact goals, appointment goals, and even door knock goals, right? If you've never done it. So then when I get to the end of my month, I can start putting some top observations in here and whatever. And what's really cool is I can take this spreadsheet and I can just save the whole thing as a new one, and I could email it off to JP, John Paul, and we could have a nice dialogue about it. One of the things that we started talking about that could be really nice is that you get into week 3 of any given month and you've got John Paul who's making a run for agency owner. He doesn't know all this information all the time. He might. He is kind of good that way. But it'd be nice for all of us to not waste a bunch of time on getting organized. So he can look at this and we can have some dialogue and say, hey, you're almost there. What can we do to get out with just Arthur? Or what can we do to push Lisa's annuity into done, right? Sometimes a month for promotion for everyone is just one row or one customer away. That's all it is. I don't need to run around and go sell 15 new things. I need to turn a couple of these in from a sales or from a pending business point of view. And so that's how I took the chaos out of it for me. You know, clearly every month's a little bit different, but these are the types of tools that I kind of wanted to share with the group today so you can analyze your business. And I think if people have questions, I'll ask Chris to help me with that, because I know we're at about 8:45 here. But that's basically it. The dialogue I can have with my upline then becomes a little more fruitful, because now in Top Observations, we use something that we had in corporate America, which is a different kind of coaching and mentoring session. It looked like this. I might do all this and send it to JP, and JP would say, Bret, so what do you think went well? And I'll tell him what I think went well. And he'll say, what do you think improved? Or where do you think you have opportunity to improve? And I'll answer the question. And then he'll turn around and say what he thought went well and what could have improved. And over time that we do this together, I start thinking like JP. And as I start to think like JP and analyze my business, JP doesn't need to spend as much time with me because I'm up and running. And that's good coaching for rising from beginning to where JP is, which naturally he's doing awesome, right? So we spend most of our time in dialogue that actually helps me, and not I can't figure out where I'm at, or my mind looks like my desk, which is a real story. I've had that, right? Or I'm not sure, or I'm stressed out, and so we can have more business style conversations and less about I'm stressed out, talk me off the ledge, which has happened. So that's what I wanted to share with the team this morning. I hope that you guys could have seen that well. I know I'm working off of kind of an extended screen, and it's not everybody's favorite. But Chris, I'll leave it with you and see if there's any questions from the group.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. And as you're going through this, Bret, the phrase comes to mind. We hear it all the time on all the calls, really national calls, but basically it's, what gets measured, gets improved or gets success. And I mean, this is perfect because you're right. There are a lot of moving pieces to this business. And one of the biggest and one of the things that can affect your bottom line and how much money you've got sitting in your bank account is keeping track of where your business is at. And I can tell you, it's hard. Like I said, multiple different carriers. We try to write as much business as we can with with certain carriers and try to keep it organized. But reality is you've got to write different products and different people due to health and age and all those other factors. So, that you're right. You've got, a dozen logins floating around from different companies, and it's easy for stuff to fall through the cracks. So this is awesome. If anybody has any specific questions, throw those into the chat. But, what we observed, and Ari and I looked at this with Bret here, like I said, a couple, 3 weeks ago. And this is actually highly effective, very simple process to follow. And that was one of the things that we've been kind of struggling and scratching our head. How can we do that on the agency level? Well, this allows you to do that on an individual level. And then, we as your mentors can work with you and share this sheet. Instead of us trying to track it on a high level, you can each do that individually and have great success. So, I mean, I think this is phenomenal based on the comments we're getting. People are loving this, and quite frankly, I think it's a simple enough process that I'm not getting any questions, and I think because it is so easily laid out that I think it just makes too much sense. So.
I will. I'll forward a clean sheet of this to Lori, and then also the online version of the commission schedule, so people can check their pay, and it's as easy as that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I appreciate that, Bret, and definitely we'll disseminate this out to the team because everybody is already in the chat excited about getting their hands on this tool. And again, big thank you and hats off to you for taking the time to sit down and figure this out, all the moving pieces. And I love the formula aspect of this, just, typing in numbers. And guys, really, that's all you got to do. You write a case, you come home at night, type in, I wrote $1,800 of AP, and your system's automatically updated. You know where you're at for your goals for the month, and what you got to track. So I think this is phenomenal. Well, very good.
Well,
so
thank you,
I'm not
guys.
seeing, Brett, I appreciate you sharing. I'm not seeing any questions come through. Like I said, I think, this is the beauty of the system is it's so cleanly laid out that I don't think there's a lot of confusion around this. I think everybody, as they get it uploaded into their system, start plugging their numbers in, it's going to be pretty intuitive. So again, huge thanks to you for sitting down, thinking through this process, and then be willing to share that with everybody. And that's the beautiful thing about our business models, is we're, everybody works together to lift everybody up. And you've definitely done that with this tool. So we can't thank you enough for that. So guys,
For sure.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, we'll start to wind up the call here. Just again, a quick note. I never want a call to go by without mentioning we've got conference coming up, and Tucson, Arizona, August 2nd and 3rd. Guys, got to get there. We've seen growth in this team from the folks who were at the last one, and it's a direct result of what we went through, at conference. You see some numbers of people who are moving up the leaderboards, starting to turn more and more numbers in, and it is, it's time to get signed up for that. And if nothing else, or one of the big reasons, obviously, the growth that you're going to achieve from being at this event, we can't duplicate that in one-on-one training. It's not going to happen. So that 2-day event, you're going to see personal growth. But on a logistics standpoint, guys, you got to get signed up because we're about out of time. We're about 5 weeks out from conference flights in that last 30 days. If you have to fly, your flights are going to go up dramatically. We're running out of rooms. You got to reserve your room, and Laurie's going to post the link again to GroupMe. She's been keeping it pretty updated. But get your, like I said, we've had several times already where we've had to go back, ask the leadership to talk to the resort, see if they'll open up more room blocks for us. And just, having been through this cycle several times with other conferences, that can only happen so many times. The closer we get, it's kind of the same thing. When you get down to the wire, the resort's ability to open up more blocks drops dramatically. So if you haven't got that done, get that done, or you may find yourself trying to go last minute and paying 2 or 3 times what you should be for flights and room. There's some other alternatives in the area if for some reason the room is a struggle for you. I will say this though, however, the room rates that we've got, the corporate rate, is phenomenal. I can't believe for the place that we're staying how cheap this is for people to stay at this resort. So definitely get on that, hit the done button, and aside from all the logistics, guys, this event is literally what makes or breaks you in this business. We talk about it all the time, and I'll remind everybody, if you're new to this call, it's the first time listening, this event, what we see is people who are fortunate enough to miss the conference, about a 90% chance that they are not going to be around for the next conference. And that's statistics. That's not us, just our sense or what we think is going to happen. That's actual numbers of what's going on. So guys, we need to wrap up here briefly. Let me hang on just a second here. Can we do?
Go on this
Okay, Brett, if you could do me a favor and pull down your screen share, pull back up. And then John Paul, I got a message from him. Find my video here. There we go. Hang on, John Paul, let me find your, there you are. All right, there you go. You're unmuted.
Hey, no worries, buddy. Thank you. I just one last message for the team as a whole as we wrap up here. I just want to remind folks that this next week, as you know, Friday is the last day of turn-in as it relates to your written numbers, but also it falls hand in hand with the awesome presentation that Bret shared with us. Is checking your pending business, but also making sure things are issue paid by Friday, because ironically, the way the calendar falls, the last business day for the month for the insurance companies will be Friday as well, because the 30th is on Sunday. Monday's the 1st. So the point is, as you get on the phones today, tonight, and tomorrow, and you're setting your appointments, you want to do your level best to try to get those appointments earlier during the week, as early as possible, I should say. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is front load the week so that you can get the numbers from a written perspective, and you have a significantly higher chance of getting those issued paid by Friday. Can you run an appointment on Thursday night and knock down a big sale? Sure. It's going to show in your written numbers when you turn it into op. But if you're also balancing your business and looking at both sides of what you need for your respective promotion levels, can it get issue paid by the next day? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it gets stuck on somebody's desk and gets done on Monday, and you're still gonna get paid, but it's gonna drop into Monday's business, which means July, right? So just keep that in mind as you're going forward in your calls today and tomorrow. Again, making sure you have a holistic approach and a complete understanding of your business. Make sure you're keeping that in mind as well. That's it, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. I'd actually kind of let that slip my mind on this. Again, obviously last week, but we don't normally, we have kind of a 2 or 3 day leeway following the next week to get issue paid in. But you're absolutely right. Issue paid and close of business are all on the same day this cycle. So make sure that you are getting on any pending business. Get that stuff pushed through this week. Talk to underwriters. Twist some arms, send some candy, whatever you got to do to get that business pushed through. Do that, and that will, that's a key component to that promotions guideline that Bret was sharing with us. There's two sides of it. There's how much you write, how much gets issue paid. You got to make sure you're watching both sides of that business, guys. So. All right, guys, appreciate everybody being on. We're coming up on the top of the hour. We need to wrap up because we've got a lot to do this weekend, jumping on and getting appointments set for next week. So appreciate each and every one of you. Have an awesome weekend of dialing. Get a big week set up for the final week of the month, and we will see you all on next week. Thank you all.